Thank you for having me on today to talk about this really kind of buzzword that we're all talking about and we've all at least heard of is AI. And everyone's kind of hearing AI, AI, AI all the time lately. Now, the first thing is I kind of want to just set the tone for the presentation. I'm going to talk about AI in general for about 10 minutes and then a little bit specifically about ChatGPT, which is just an AI. You know, ChatGPT's an AI, and not every AI is ChatGPT. And then I want to go into some demonstrations, which I think that's going to be the thing that's going to spark everyone's attention, is when I start doing some demonstrations of AI and then how you can use it in your daily work flow, and then some questions. And I think the questions are going to probably just go into more demonstrations of ChatGPT. Let's get into it. The first thing is, everyone wants to know, what is AI? Well, if you break it down, AI is like, if you just think of it as like a really smart robot, a robot that can do amazing things. A lot of them in the past have been designed to play chess, answer your questions, recognize pictures, and even talk to you. The thing is, the robot can learn new things and get better at tasks as it does them. It's what we call the artificial intelligence, or AI for short. AI is like a computer brain. It's a way of computers to learn and make decisions like humans do, but instead of learning from teachers or books, it learns from large amounts of data. And that's really kind of the change that we've had in the last few years, is the accessibility of data because of the internet. So simply terms, AI is a way of make computers or robots smart. It's a way to make them learn, think, and make decisions like a human. But remember, even though AI can do some amazing things, it's still just a tool, and it doesn't have consciousness, and it isn't aware. Now, let's go into a little bit of the history of AI. In the 1950s was the birth of AI. A gentleman by the name of Alan Turing wanted to propose, can a machine think? And he created what's known as the Turing test. And what the Turing test is basically, it's a test where a machine and a person asks question of a machine without knowing that it's a machine, and can it fool the person who's asking question thinking that it's an actual person answering the questions back. And if the machine was able to pass the Turing test, it was considered to be a kind of developed AI. The next thing is the term of AI. In 1956, a group of scientists held a conference at Dartmouth College. Here they coined the term artificial intelligence, AI. They believed that a machine could be made to stimulate human intelligence. Now, in 1960s, a lot of this more development was made in early AI programs. Some of this was in 1961, the Student, which was developed at MIT, which was a natural language understanding computer. It was capable of solving high school level word problems in algebra. Then in 1964, a next AI computer was developed at MIT by Joseph Weizenbaum, called ELIZA. This was the early example of natural language processing in AI. It was designed to mimic a psychotherapist by simply rephrasing many of the patient's statements as a question and posing them back as a patient. This gave the illusion that it understood and was responding to a conversation. In 1965, there was another AI developed called Dendril. Project was initiated by David Fahrenbaum and Joseph Liedenberg at Stanford University. It was one of the first expert systems designed to apply knowledge of chemistry to predict the structures of an unknown organic molecule, from the data that was given. And then the last one around that time period, almost the golden age of AI at the time, was SHRDLU, was developed by Terry Weinogard at MIT. Those MIT guys just kept developing these things. And that one could understand and respond to commands given in natural language in a context of a block word, which is a universe made of toy blocks. Now, there was a lot of development during the 1960s, but what happened in the 1970s, they came into a period known as the AI winter. Research slowed because it was harder than people thought to develop these, and it just kind of cooled down at that time period. But then in the 1980s, we came across the AI spring. It picked up thanks again to new ideas and more funding in computers and became more powerful and more common. You had expert systems. This era saw the rise of expert systems, which were computer programs that emulated the decision-making abilities of human experts. They were the first commercial success of AI technology. Expert systems like XCon, developed by Carnegie Mellon and DEC, were able to save companies millions of dollars annually, creating significant interest in the investment in AI technology. Increasing computer power. We all know of the home computer boom, but it also saw an increase in the large computer mainframes, and these significant advancements in computer hardware computers became faster, cheaper, and more accessible. So, and then also AI was also developed because of AI in defense. In 1983, a strategic computer initiative was launched by the U.S. Department of Defense. This was a massive program aimed at applying AI in military systems, which boosted funding and interest in AI research. And then Japanese fifth generation was developed. In 1982, the Japanese Ministry of International Trade and Industry committed to funding fifth generation project aimed at creating computers using massively parallel computer and logic programming. This project spurred significant investment and competition from Western countries, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom. And this also led to new methods of machine learning, new approaches to machine learning, including decision tree and similar practical knowledge light methods that were gaining ground and showing potential. Also, in the 1990s, machine learning was vastly advanced. Scientists started using new approaches called machine learning. Instead of telling a computer exactly what to do, they would let it learn from data. This was a big breakthrough. Machine learning is basically artificial intelligence where computer systems are given the ability to learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. In a simple context, it involves feeding data to an algorithm, which then uses the data to build a mathematical model. This model can then be used to make predictions and decisions without being specifically coded for a task. For instance, a machine learning algorithm could be trained on a data set of images of cats and dogs. Once a training process is complete, the algorithm should be able to classify new unseen images of either a cat or dog on its own. The more data the algorithm is trained on, the better the prediction generally becomes, meaning that if you give the computer like 1,000 pictures of a cat, it will then know that a cat is a certain size, a certain shape, has ears and tail. So it learns what a cat is because of the data that it is fed over and over. And in 2000, big data and deep learning was developed. With the rise of the internet, there was a lot of data for AI to learn from. Scientists also started using deep learning, a type of machine learning that is really good for finding patterns in data. Now, big data, basically the term refers to extremely large data sets that are often too complex and vast to be analyzed or processed by traditional data processing tools. Big data includes structured data like numbers, dates, or strings that can easily be processed. Semi-structured data like XML documents and the unstructured data like text, videos, and social media posts. The aim is to analyze this data to reveal patterns, trends, and insights, particularly relating to human behavior and interactions. This type of data is what they kind of use in your social media feed. It learns from all the data from a large subset, a large group of people who interact with it, and then pares it down to your interaction with that. Deep learning is this is a subfield of machine learning that focuses on algorithms inspired by structures and functions of the brain called artificial neural networks. Deep refers to the number of layers in the network, and the more layers, the deeper the network. Traditionally, neural networks contain 2 to 3 layers, while deep networks have as many layers as 100. Deep learning can process a wide range of data resources, making sense of them for use by decision-making applications and activities. This is particularly useful in fields like voice search, voice-activated intelligence assistance, and image recognition. Part of this, if you look at Photoshop is now, Adobe Photoshop is now developing what they call neural filters right now. And what the neural filters are doing is they can actually take photos and process them automatically. And they're using this type of deep learning to process photos. Again, it's these strides are coming fast and furious as they come along, which leads to the 2010s, the AI boom, which started becoming really a good. And a lot of things are like recognizing images, understanding speech, playing complex games. We're all seeing this on almost a daily basis, which leads us to now. Today, AI is everywhere. You can find it in your smartphones. AI is used out in our smartphones in many ways. For example, when you ask Siri or Google Assistant a question, AI is used to understand your questions and find the answers. AI is also used in your phone camera to recognize faces and improve the quality of your photos. I mean, we all use our camera phones all the way, and a lot of times it's going to recognize the face that you're pointing at and give you the best picture based on the subject you're pointing at nowadays. Social media, we talked about that deep learning just in the last slide, where when you use social media, AI is used to decide which posts to show you. And it learns from what kind of posts that you like. So if you notice, if you start watching, liking posts in your social media field, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, you start seeing similar things pop up and pop up and pop up. And the more you like, the more you're going to see those types of feeds. Online shopping. We all know those things where we are online and we're buying stuff, and all of a sudden in our feed, they start suggesting similar or related products in our feed. Because, you know, it is learning from what we buy, what to recommend, getting us to buy more. Navigation. When you use a navigation app like Google's Maps, AI is used to find the best route, and it takes into account current traffic conditions, road closures, and other factors. Years ago, when you used to have that GPS, you know, that you set, it just gave you the route. But nowadays, when you're actually using the GPS in your phone, it's telling you the best route. And you can also choose different options for that route. Hey, I want to save gas, or I want to get there faster. Hey, today I'm riding my bike instead of driving. Email. AI is used to email services to filter out spam. If you have a Gmail account, you've seen that many times. You go and you're getting your email and everything's fine, but then you go, hey, I think I want to clean out my spam folder. And you see all this email that is spam in your spam folder that you never had to look at. It's because AI is looking at that and determining, hey, that's spam. The person with this account doesn't have to see that. Home assistants. Now, this is something that we've seen in the last few years develop more and more and get smarter and smarter, is those home assistants like Amazon, Alexa, Google, and Siri. Though Siri's not as smart as the other ones right now. Where you can ask it questions, it feeds back. It can connect to your email. It can connect to your reminders list. So these are becoming more and more smarter and more helpful as time goes by. Video streaming services. Hey, when you're watching Netflix, same thing as when you're shopping online. It starts to learn the things that you like and then caters or customizes your recommended movie list. So we see that all the time nowadays. Now, if we look at some how AI is helping with productivity. There's lots of AI out there that's being more developed every day. You seem like almost every day you read a news story going, hey, this is a new AI, or you get a recommendation from your feed on an AI that might help. And these are some of the ones that we've heard about more in recent times is Grammarly. I don't know about you, but I use Grammarly. I couldn't survive without it. It helps correct misspelled words or recommends ways of improving the emails that you write or some of the text that you put in. Otter AI, I just started using this more just within like the last 2 weeks. Otter AI is a AI that's used to help create transcriptions for online meetings, such as this one. So basically you start a Otter AI account and then it will log into the meeting as well, record voices of everyone who is participating, and then give you a transcription of that later. Zapier is a tool that connects all your online accounts. So basically it will take and connect your email account with your reminders or your calendar account automatically, so that when you do set input into one, it will go to another, and there's thousands of online accounts that they'll talk to each other. Replica is something that I just heard about. I haven't tried it. It's a powered chatbot designed for mental wellness. It can provide a space for users to express their thoughts and feelings and can help manage stress. I'm going to check that one out. I found it while I was researching for this presentation. Hey, we all have stress in our lives. AI Writer is another more sophisticated writing tool to help you, write your thoughts or emails or texts that you want to get out and improve upon that. Another chatbot or search engine that has come out is Google Bard. Google Bard is developed by Google. It's kind of their answer to the ChatGPT, where you can chat with Google Bard and start a conversation and get advice or help it organize your thoughts and so forth. Microsoft Bing, same thing. It's a chat engine, but it also is integrated into the search engine as well. So it can help you find a lot of stuff on the internet because it will do a smarter search. Now, that brings me to ChatGPT from OpenAI. That's the one that you're probably hearing the most about right now. ChatGPT really has come to the forefront of news and articles, and people are talking about it, and it's a buzz thing right now. It's basically, it's an artificial intelligence program developed by OpenAI. It's designed to generate human-like text based on it's given here that it's given. Here's a sample of a way to explain it. Imagine if you have a really smart pen pal, you can write to this pen pal about anything, ask questions, request a story, or even ask for help with homework. No matter what you write, your pen pal always writes back with something interesting and helpful. That's what it's kind of like to interact with ChatGPT, but instead of a person, your pen pal is actually a computer program. It doesn't know or understand information the way humans do. Instead, it's been trained on a large amount of text from the internet, and it uses this training to generate its responses. It doesn't have beliefs, opinions, or feelings. It simply predicts what a human might say based on the input it's been given. ChatGPT can be used for a wide range of tasks, for drafting emails and writing code, to tutoring in a variety of subjects, to creating content like poems or stories. It's pretty versatile and designed to assist with any task that involves writing or generating text. Now, how it can help? Well, it can help with homework. Homework help. Students can use ChatGPT to help understand complex topics or get explanations for problems or even generate ideas for essays. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. We all have been thinking that since we heard this. Is it helping writing essay papers, writing papers? Yes, I can tell you right now, it is. And that's something, if you're a teacher right now, you should be aware of. There are some apps out there to help you determine whether your students have written their paper in using AI, but it's going to happen. I don't know what ages you are, but chances are your students know ChatGPT better than you do right now. But it can help them with developing topics for a paper. Say, you assign, as a teacher assigns a paper to do, a student could write in, hey, I've got this paper that my instructor has provided me. These are the criteria that they would like to see. Can you provide me some ideas to write a paper on? And it would help generate those ideas, saving a vast amount of time trying to come up with ideas. Now, writing assistance. Whether you're drafting an email or writing a report or working on a novel, ChatGPT can help generate text, suggest edits, and provide creative inspiration. Again, yeah, some people write better than others. I know that when I write, I'm a very meat and potatoes kind of type of guy, and I don't write very eloquently. This does help me in many cases write an email or craft an email that I can send that better brings off my understanding of what I want to give to that person. Now, programming help. ChatGPT can generate code snippets and help debug issues, making it useful for tool programmers. And this is the key thing I want to point out. Generate code snippets, not write code. I've been told by people in my office that do coding that when it writes code, it's going to be wrong. However, if you're a code writer, it can get you like 90% there. And if you can review that code, you can then make those corrections and get that assignment or code done, which is going to be a great benefit. But again, you can't just say, hey, write code for me. You have to be a coder so that you can find those bugs. Language learning. ChatGPT can be used as a practice partner for learning new languages. Again, it does a very good job of translation. Much better than just typing it into Google. You can actually, type in the phrase that you want and it will write it out in the correct syntax. So very good for learning a new language. Entertainment. You can use ChatGPT to generate a story, joke, or even poetry. It can be used for a tool for entertainment, meaning that you can give it a certain criteria, and the better the criteria you give it, the better it will respond out back to you. So say, hey, can you tell me a fairy tale about a princess and a frog? It's going to give you that output. But if you give it more details, it will give you better. Can you give me a story about a princess who has lost her kingdom, is searching for a way of finding her kingdom, and she comes across a frog. The frog says that it can help with this kingdom. Can you write a story? It's going to give you more detailed output of that story. It can also help with daily planning. ChatGPT can help you plan out your day and generate a to-do list to remind you of important tasks. But you have to remember, it can only give back what you give into it. What I've been doing is I actually have a long list of projects, and I put in all my projects into it so that it can help me, and I have this daily thing where I input more information about what I've done on that project, so that when I go back to ChatGPT, it can output and give me up-to-date information about my project. Today, I wrote in, I says, hey, can you give me an update about what I've done on this project? And it gave me this outline of what I've done on a project that I was working on. Research. You can ask ChatGPT for information on a wide range of topics, and it can provide summarized or complex subjects to make it useful tools for your research. Remember, while I have not done this, I don't know how accurate it is. There are some plugins for ChatGPT that can help improve that. Again, it's something that it can do with the right information inputted into it. But remember, what ChatGPT can provide a lot of help. Run content to your website. Kay Martinez, I just saw your question, and yes, and we'll go over that when I do the demo stuff. And absolutely. Thank you. So, Gary, yes, it can be considered a crutch. Another Gary asked me, yes, it's crutch. Am I crutching on it? Yes, I am. So remember, ChatGPT can provide a lot of help, but it's not perfect. It doesn't know specific personal information unless you tell it during a conversation, and it doesn't have the ability to access Pat, that's a great question. Pat's asking, what does GPT stand for? I don't know, Pat, but we'll find out in this demonstration. Um, Interaction unless the data is shared, and of course, the current conversation. The tool is designed to assist in augmenting human capabilities, not replace human judgment. So what I mean by that is it's only going to know what you put into it. It doesn't know you unless you introduce yourself and then give it additional information. Now, prompts. This is the heart of ChatGPT. In the context of AI, specifically models like ChatGPT, a prompt is the input that you give to the AI. It's the starting point for the AI's response. You can think of it like a question or statement that you're asking AI to respond to. Hey, Veronica it's posted that chat generative pre-trained transformer. Thank you, Veronica. Prompts are very important because they guide the AI's response. The AI doesn't have any knowledge of context beyond what's included in the prompt. So the information and instructions you include in the prompt can greatly influence the AI's output. Again, what I said is what you put into it is what you can get out. It doesn't know anything unless you share it. For example, if you ask ChatGPT a vague question like, what's the weather? It won't be able to give you useful information because it doesn't know where you are. But if you ask more specifically questions like, what's the average temperature in San Francisco in July? It can give you a much more useful answer. Prompts can also include instructions about format or style of the AI's response. For example, if you could ask ChatGPT to write a short, funny story about a talking cat, it would generate a story that fits those criteria. So in short, prompts are the way you communicate with an AI and guide you through the more clear and specific your prompt, the more useful and accurate the AI response. Okay, what are some of the use cases for ChatGPT? General knowledge. And again, these are kind of the prompts you would get in if you wanted general knowledge. An example would be, can you explain photosynthesis works, how photosynthesis works? So basically, that's how you would gain general, just ask a question. Creative writing. Write a short story about a robot who loves gardening. Again, that's the prompt you're going to write in, and it will give you an output. Problem solving. If I have 100 apples and I give away 45, how many do I have left? Gary Salazar just asked, will it give original jokes or what it finds in a search? So yes and no. So basically, you got to remember, ChatGPT has been given tons and tons of data. Then that's how it builds its knowledge base and its context. So what it will do is, based on the tons of data, will form a joke that it knows. That's meaning that the data it's been provided. So again, it doesn't know specific things. So if you want something that it beyond what it knows offhand, you would give it more context so that it could build a joke. So yes, it's capable of original joke, but you'd have to kind of feed it the information to come up with an original joke. Also, you're welcome, Gary. Also, problem solving is that go back to putting mathematical problems in it and then just ask it and would solve that. Language translation, pretty straightforward. If you input a sentence in a different language and ask for a translation, it will output that different language. Coding help. Can you provide a simple Python code to print hello world? So basically, hey, if you put that in, it will give you that simple code out. Role playing. You are a tour guide on Mars. What places would you show me? So role playing is basically you creating this fake scenario and seeing what it will output to you. Just as an aside, I've played D&D in the past, and it can actually help create D&D scenarios or situations. So not just a role playing, hey, can you pretend, but also, hey, can you help me create? Humor. Tell me a funny joke about computers. We already covered that. Yes, it will give you what it kind of knows offhand, but if you give it more context and information, it can build and create something original. Advice. Can it give you advice? Yes. Again, based on the data that it's been fed and the context that it has. What are some tips? Basically, what are some tips for staying focused while working from home? It's just going to pull from data that it already knows. Okay. So demonstrations. Now, this is the part that we're going to have some fun with. So I'm going to stop sharing my slide and share my screen and pull up ChatGPT in my browser. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to pull up my browser and share that screen. And Safari, start. Okay. So I've got my browser up. Does everyone see my browser? All right, excellent. So I'm going to go open, I already ChatGPT. It's almost like my default right now. So, so ChatGPT. Right now, I'm gonna give all my demos on ChatGPT 3.5. 3.4 is the upgraded version with a paid account. It has a little more knowledge base. It has more nuanced answers. Also, it's a little more up to date. ChatGPT 3.5 only has a knowledge base up to basically 2021. However, there are so many things you can do with the free version, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to select, I'm going to start a new conversation, and right now we're going to put it in. Okay. I find that the best way to interact with ChatGPT is to do it on a conversational level. I look at it as though I am speaking to someone, and then I want to get my output. So I go, hello, chat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've actually got some stuff already here that on my side that so I want to translate. Hello, how are you into French? Wait for the answer. There we go. Very simple. I just put in the prompt and I got out my output very quickly. Now, if you notice that on the sides here, you can actually copy the outputs, which I have found to be very useful for bringing them into other applications or writing an email and then copying the output to put into my email program. Okay. The next one is we're going to try a coding assistance. Can you provide a code snippet such as printing out hello world in Python? There we go. So there we go. We asked it for that, and it gave us the command in Python. Now you could make this much more longer and creative and that, but that's simple coding output. So also mathematical problems. Calculate the recipe of finding sum of series. Can you provide the square root of 1000? Easy. Again, you have to think of this as one question that we're getting one answer for. You can build on this and create much more complex output. So ask this questions.
Paul, I yes. have a Patty Overy just yes. ask a question to everyone. Let me just read it to you. Do you foresee a situation? Do you foresee a situation?
Yes. So basically incorrect information, yes, it does provide incorrect information. I would highly recommend that if you're going to use ChatGPT for any sort of data or information, that you double check the sources. It can provide incorrect information. We all heard that story. I don't know, maybe you haven't heard that story. A lawyer who used ChatGPT to state some previous cases and they were wrong. So again, this is why it's not going to replace people, because someone still has to look at the information that's been given and make sure that it is correct and review that information. So again, it's going to, and yes, can it be slanted a certain way? You got to remember, when you're having a conversation, it's going to respond to the input that you're giving it. So if you're inputting information, even if you start writing certain opinions and so forth, it's going to kind of mirror your responses. So yes, it can have a slant. So you have to be questionable on biases. That's why right now I'm kind of just using it as an organizer for my thoughts and my projects without asking it a ton of detailed information. And if I do, I already kind of have the answers for that information so that I can review. So mathematical calculations, you can also type in just general information. Who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird? Harper Lee. That one was easy for it. Product recommendations. So basically, can you suggest some smartphones for me to purchase? There you go. And then from that, you could then go in and ask, here's the thing. You remember, it's a conversation. So when you get output from it, you don't have to start all over. You just have to follow up with an additional question. So here it is. I've got this list and I go, can you provide me additional information on the iPhone 13?
Wow.
And it gives me more additional information. So remember, conversational, follow up. Don't just put information in and go, well, I guess I have to start a whole new thing. No, you don't have to start a new. Once you're in a conversation and you've started putting information in, it's going to remember as long as you're in that conversation. So you can always follow up with more additional information. Okay, so product historical facts. What happened today in history? Today, again, it only knows what you put into it. July 21st in history. Okay, so we have some output on that. So again, let me, can you provide additional information on Apollo? Sorry, spelling, Apollo 11. Okay. And again, I just followed up and asked for more additional information. So we have that. What else can we get out of this? So if we did a little more demonstration on actually productivity, it can help you with an email. I need to write an email to a client about an order which was delayed and offer my apologies. Now that's a standard kind of, block email, but if you wanted, you could then follow up. The order was for a record album of Fleetwood Mac. and changes the subject line and kind of customizes it. I should be able to ship that next week. Again, it's going to update that with the information that you're giving. Gary, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks. Hey, we're getting close to the end, Paul, but there's an interesting question from Amber in the chat. I'm wondering if you could take that and put that into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to answer it.
So I'm going to say, Gary, I'm going to say no. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because remember, I'm on Chat 3.5, and it only knows information up to, like, say, 2021. So it's not going to know the most current ChatGPT apps out there.
So could you answer Amber's question then? You got any suggestions for her?
I got suggestions for you, Amber. So there is lots of apps out there that are saying, hey, we can count it. Now, to use these apps, you need to have a ChatGPT account, which I could, if anyone wants, you could email me. I'll give you my email at the end, and I can send you instructions on how to start that account. But there is an official iOS iPhone app for ChatGPT, and that's the one I would recommend. Again, you have to have an account, and then you have to link it to that account. So that's the one I would recommend, is that app. There are many other ones out there that they're charging a monthly fee to get onto. And that's another thing I wanted to just touch on just 1 second, is the difference between paid and unpaid. So if I start a new chat, it's going to start asking me for chat GPT 3.5, which is the free one. And again, which is very powerful, extremely powerful. I can definitely recommend that as well. But a ChatGPT 4, again, it has a much more recent database. It's a little more nuanced in its answers. And also it has these things called plugins. So you can actually plug in partnered apps. Show you plug in partners apps to allow you to augment ChatGPT by giving it additional information. So we have these apps right here that can add in, like Video Insight allows you to get information from YouTube videos. Basically, you put in the URL for a YouTube video, and it will give you a summary of what the YouTube video is about. Wolfram is a plugin that allows you to crunch large amounts of data. Chat with a PDF. If you include a link for a PDF, thank you, Angie. Angie put in the chat the link to OpenAI website. Chat PDF allows you to put in the link for a PDF, and it will actually read the PDF, and then you can ask specific questions. Gary and I were talking about this earlier today, is we could take a PDF of a grant that we are part of, put that whole entire grant PDF into ChatGPT, have it read it, and then we can ask specific questions about that document that we can then utilize later on. Again, it's an amazing way of getting information. Let me go back to my slides. Angie asked me about the ethics of AI. Yes, we talked about students writing papers right now. Basically, you know, that's a way of going over the line with the AI ethics, is having it write those papers for you. Is it unethically to help it write your email letters? I don't know. I mean, I've been using it. I use it because like many of you, I have a limited amount of time that I can work. So so I do help with it. Melissa Hamilton's asking if how do you cite AI? Melissa, what I have been seeing is people actually citing, you know, ChatGPT in their documents, going, if it giving them an output and they're using that output, they actually cite it on, say, I use ChatGPT. And that's how they've been citing it.
Everyone except for students.
Everyone except for students. Who was that? Because that is so on the money right now. And again, the only thing I can recommend is there's some apps and resources out there to help you. But I have heard about incorrect readings of someone writing a paper using ChatGPT. So we have to be careful about that as well. So anything that is within their realm of interest, they're just go, it can do that. I said, I showed you how I put together a email address, but here's the thing. I actually had ChatGPT help me create this presentation. So let's go through what that looks like. So I am doing a presentation on AI and ChatGPT. It is a community presentation. Can you help create an outline? Okay. All right, then can you convert this into slides recommendation? So,
Wow.
okay, then the last thing is, can you suggest images for slides? Now, here's the thing is, I have this, but remember, it's a conversation. It is remembering what I've already written. So I can go back and ask it additional stuff. It says, can you expand on and summarize concerns and challenges? So it can help build a presentation based on a simple request, and then you keep asking it for more details and more details. Like, if we go back to your suggestion on the, so let's pick up sun protection. So you could basically, can you expand on sun protection and include recommendations? And there you go.
Wow.
So, and again, you can look at this, and I find, again, the best way to interact with ChatGPT is to do it on a conversation, especially if you're like it. This helps me prepare for meetings. So I am having a meeting with Gary, director of continuing education, course training, Angie, marketing director, Martin, customize training. We are going to talk about how we can increase our customized training offerings. Can you help create an outline for this meeting. And then it creates an outline. And again, you can delve in even deeper, like on my projects, here's the thing, I'm working under a grant for apprenticeships to increase enrollment and retention for apprenticeships. I need to generate some reports for this. So what I did was I put in everything for this grant, all the stuff that's, how much I got, the people that we hired, the outputs we're supposed to get, what we've been doing so far to meet those outputs. And then I asked it for the reports. It took me 20 minutes to put everything about that grant into ChatGPT, but then I got 3 reports in less than 5.
Wow.
That is crazy. It really, Isaac Asimov was onto something when he wrote I, Robot in what, 1950?
So here's the thing is, again, I don't know how old you are, but I was around when the internet was born, basically. And that kind of excitement you got when you discovered the internet and you went, oh my word, look at all it can do. This is kind of like that, look at all it can do. It's like this new birth, but again, there's lots of questions too. I didn't even get into the ethical questions and the concerns people have about ChatGPT. Is it going to take jobs? Yeah, I think it is going to take jobs, because if you're a content creator creating stuff for marketing, if you had 3 people, chances are you probably can scale down to 1. What does that mean? Well, that means that maybe some people have to rethink of their employment and maybe go into AI rather than pull away from AI. I don't know. It's when robotic manufacturing came along, people lost their job. This is kind of the white collar robotics that we're going to have to deal with as a society as we move forward.
Well, that could have finished up a little bit better because now I'm scared about my job. Thanks, Paul.
Sorry. But here's the thing is, if there's like a few people in your office, if you're the first one to grab onto it and adopt, you might be the one that, says, hey, this is how we can do. And this is the one thing is maybe that you can. Yes, Angie.
So I have a comment on this. As we have our workforce strained in some situations, which we've seen recently, AI can help with that strain. So I think that it's a double-edged sword where people may lose jobs, but in times where you are struggling for help, AI can help manage some of those extra tasks that people are given.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm in my department specifically. I have so much to do, and that AI ChatGPT has helped me actually create some different workflows and become more productive and get some stuff done. I can actually come in my office, sit down and get some stuff done. And so for a single personality, now, if you're a content creator, should you be afraid? Maybe yes and no. Because here's the thing, then maybe you can experiment more with different types of content. Because right now, how much time are you taking to just think about, hey, let me try to create this marketing campaign? Whereas now you can think about, well, how can I expand on creating more marketing campaigns and increase the amount of stuff that we're engaging with, rather than, because before I could only concentrate on this one thing. But now I can concentrate on several marketing outreaches now instead of just one. So again, I think if you're working on content creation and marketing, I think this is the time where you should embrace it and get the people that you work with to think about, hey, this is something that can help us create different campaigns instead of just the one campaign, or help us figure out ways of augmenting our campaigns.
Wow.
Or you just don't tell management about it and just take credit for all of it.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. It is such a buzz right now that eventually, so many people have heard about it, but they don't know what it is. I guess maybe you just don't tell them. You don't answer the question. Well, this is what it is. You go when they go, hey, have you heard about this ChatGPT? And you go, nope, never heard a word. It is kind of this weird thing where you go, I don't know how we're going to address these type of things in the future. But I'm pretty sure that if you're not an early adopter and start using it, you're the one that's going to be left behind. Especially if people are creating content, because they're going to create more content in less time. So I think that if you're a content creator or you're just creating presentations, you really do have to start thinking about how can I use this to improve my workflow and not fight against it. Because I can tell you right now, an employer that discovers it on their own is going to start thinking, hey, what am I going to do? I think that if you can demonstrate how it can help better build the content or the campaigns, you're going to be the winner.
Yeah, there's still the content and the campaigns, but there also needs to be execution.
Exactly. And the thing is, and his thing is AI can also help you analyze your engagements. And that's the thing, you still need a person to look at this and determine this is working, this is not working. These are things. And maybe, if you utilize ChatGPT as a way of analyzing or building a better product, you can get a better engagement.
Paul, I have a question.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see how this can assist me with my workload. My mind is blown. Oh, great. Again, it is. I when I started using it, I was very much, I use this writing program called Craft, and they added an AI to help improve on your writing, that stuff. And I go, oh, this is neat, but I don't understand. I understand how this can help. And then I heard ChatGPT, so I went on and I started looking on it. And the key thing that I walked away with, the entire change in my whole perspective on using ChatGPT was the prompts. I read this article where the person said, have a conversation with ChatGPT. Have a conversation. And the moment I started doing that, I started getting better output from it. So that's why it seems dumb, but I start everything high chat. And I have that conversation, and I entered, if it's a new conversation, I will reintroduce myself. Hey, I'm Paul Dickey. I work for Idaho State University, continuing education, workforce training. I am the apprenticeship coordinator and video instruction manager. And then I go in and I start explaining what I'm doing. And then if I'm having a meeting, I gave you that really short thing, but maybe I want a more involved meeting. I go, hey, I'm meeting with this person who's the head of this company. If I say I'm meeting with a certain company, sometimes it will actually draw in that company information into my meeting outlines, going, hey, or suggest on prepping in front of it. And then it will help me, last few meetings I've had, I've run using notes I've created from ChatGPT, and they've got really well, and they go smoothly. I don't forget certain topics. Again, though, remember, garbage in, garbage out, because I was having a meeting and someone talked about the money, and I go, oh, I didn't even think about the money on how to do the stuff. So that was something that, again, garbage in. I forgot about money, so I didn't mention money. So it didn't give me that information on it. So luckily, someone brought it up in the midst of our meeting. I went to ChatGPT. Also, remember, when it's in your window, you can do it on the fly. So if you're having a meeting and no one can see your ChatGPT window, you can start putting in stuff on the fly based on information you already gave it. Like, if I put a meeting information in, I will then follow up with what our calls to actions were. And that way I can actually go back to that conversation later on and say, hey, can you provide me the calls to actions I had on this meeting? And then it will pop it up. And then if I have follow through, I will go to the same conversation and say, hey, I followed through and this was my outcome when I followed through. Hey, was supposed to contact this person, I did, and this is what they said. So instead of just using it for prep meeting, I then do it for follow-up, and then maybe at that point, start turning into a project manager.
Hey, Angie, I have a question for you. You said you've used it before, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and how have you found like the accuracy?
So I typically, when I've used it for very general type of blogs. Anything that I'm writing more specifically, our interns take on, they're just gone for the summer. So I can go through some of those I've done recently, and those would be, I did one yesterday for landscaping in a desert environment, particularly Southeast Idaho. I've done some on how to keep your kids busy during summer. I've also done some on the trail system in Southeast Idaho. And the accuracy is spot on so far. But again, those were very general type of questions. I'm actually going to pull up our blog right now so that I can kind of go through some of what it has done for us. So
you see, that's kind of where I was going, you know, Paul, when I was thinking about it, is very generic healthcare type of items, like sunscreen, you know, or you know, the benefits of sunscreen, child, you know, water safety, you know, get real generalized healthcare things, not like really diving into like, you know, cardio, you know, like cardio.
No. And that's the thing, is these are good for general information, stuff that you can glance and verify, you know, because you have a knowledge, or you can provide someone knowledge, or you can then go out, search to verify if it has knowledge. Also, we've been talking about workflow and stuff like that, but we haven't even talked about personal use.
Yeah.
You know, using this in your personal life to get some benefit out of it. I've used it for a ton of different personal things. You know, I create these geeky YouTube videos, and I've had it help me create outlines for these YouTube videos that I do. And then once I have the outline, then I can actually, and this is, you can use this for work too. If you have create video content, you have it create the title, the description, and the keywords for that as well.
This would have came in handy when I was on the radio.
And again, you can turn a piece of story or copy and say, can you turn this into a script? And it will turn it into a script. Like I said, on the personal, another thing on the personal, like I wanted it to help me create a D&D campaign. So basically I said, I put in the information of all the players and myself, and then what kind of locations. Hey, can you help me? It can also sort of kind of run a D&D campaign for you.
All right. Well, you've given me a lot of food for thought. So, and then, you know, we budgeted in the paid version so I get a little bit more up to date, because obviously with, you know, being in the healthcare industry, we're going to need that. So,
right. To be perfectly honest with you, I used it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks on the free version, and I went right to paid because again, I use it every single day.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of benefit of it. And then again, when you have the paid version, you have access to those plugins. Those plugins are some of them are immensely helpful. Does anyone else have any questions or want to see anything? All right, well, I've been jamming on pretty long here for a while. Angie, we need to read your article over and make mistakes, but what you see is mistakes are minimal. So yeah, so again, if you're going to have it create content or articles, read them over, double check them, and just make sure that they're accurate. If there's nothing else, I think we might close out the session.
Okay.
Amber, mind is blown. Yes, Amber, so initially, Martin came to me like months ago and said, Paul, can you do a lunch and learn on remote working? And I said, okay, I'll do it on a remote working. And then 2 months ago, I found ChatGPT and I said, no, we're doing it on this because it is a game changer for anyone who uses it. This is going to be it is a game changer. So
It is.
if anyone uses this, they're going to get so much benefit of it. Again, learn to use it, learn how to write correct prompts, talk to it. Don't just ask, converse with it, and you'll get better results. Again, remember, but I don't know if I mentioned this. You can go back to conversations. So you can create a conversation, go back to that conversation as a resource. So basically, if you create a conversation based on a project, go back to the conversation, and then you can ask. Sometimes you have to give it a little context about what you're asking, and then it will remember portions of that previous conversation, and then allow you to ask more questions or put more input in.
I mean, what can happen? I mean, ask Skynet.
Amber, it saves Yeah, I know. Amber, it saves conversations by default. You have to delete a conversation and get rid of it. The only sad part is right now is that there's no way of organizing the conversation other than the last input. So sometimes you have to scroll through, like I have this gigantic scroll. I'm hoping that at some point they put a search engine in so I can search stuff. But again, you can just scroll through. And right now, what's great is I can share a conversation. So you can't interact between people, but say I create a conversation about a project, I can then send that conversation to someone else and they can pick up like they created that conversation. So say on my grant, I have all this information about my grant. I could then share that conversation with Gary, and then Gary could start asking questions about the grant because it has all that information in it.
So this is a great grant writing resource, Paul.
Well, it's a great well, yes, you could use this for grant because then you could put all your information in and says, hey, can you help me create this grant, basically, and then you just keep, oh, I forgot one of the most important prompts. So one last thing, and then I'll let you guys go, I promise. I need to write an email to a client about a missing order. Can you ask me questions until you have enough information? Please provide me the details of currently regarding the missing order. So normally, see, this isn't giving me the output. See, that's once in a while you don't get the output that you're looking for, because I should have got a list of questions. Can you list out the questions? Okay, there we go. So if I answered all these questions, then it could output the email that I wanted.
Okay.
Also, remember, you can also follow up. So if it gives you an email and you don't like the tone, tell it to change the tone. For example, I had an instructor who recently gave his resignation. He worked for me for 10 years. Not a bad thing, just because he was just going, I can't do this anymore. But I wanted to write a letter saying, hey, thanks for doing, teaching for us for 10 years. I really appreciate it. It gave me this very formal letter. And then I just said, hey, could you make this a more friendly tone? Because I've known this person for 10 years. And it lightened the tone and made it more friendly and more intimate.
Wow. Did it work for you, Paul?
Also, here's the thing. You write a letter and going, hey, this letter's for a 5-year-old. Can you rewrite it for me?
That's what I need.
So again, what's great about it is I don't have to go up and change something. I just have to ask it again because it remembers the conversation. And I know I said I was going to stop talking. I'm going to stop talking now. But again, if you guys have my email address, if you have any follow-up questions, or even if you want to do a private thing to go through some stuff, I'd be glad to do it.
I think Angie had her hand up real quick. Go ahead, Angie.
Angie?
I was just going to say, even at your own home, it will write fairy tales. So, and my little brother, I have a 10-year-old brother who's starting to get into writing his own stories. And I think it's a fantastic way not only to write stories if you need a quick one for a child, or to get kids interested in writing by having them write in, well, write in what you want and they can post it. Well, why don't you add it or change what you want, right? It's a really interesting tool to get, I think, even kids interested in utilizing it for their own curiosity.
So it looks like, Kevin, it looks like you have to go.
Thanks, everyone.
I want to thank you all who stuck by and listened to me prattle on about this great
Yeah.
resource. But you guys have the great rest of your day, and I appreciate you participating.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Thank you so much.